Nearly 60 unplayed games on Steam. Spin a wheel, play for 1 hour, leave a review. Inspired by Unstable Sparky's Steam Roulette on YouTube, link below. Trials Rising, the most recent release in the Trials series. At least it was when I bought it, back in October of 2019. Jesus. At the intro screen, I was bombarded with pop-ups after pop-ups after pop-ups of here's things you unlocked, even though I only played it for about 10 minutes back in 2019. That's fun. The menu is a bit more modern in terms of layout than the older Trials games, leading to a world map for you to choose the tracks from the map directly, which is one of the first things I really disliked about this. When you open up a map, it shows you the XP and currency you get for completing it. Doing the goal, I'm not sure, it doesn't say. Choose your bike, and then be subject to a painfully long loading screen. I'll just cut this. I've played a lot of Trials in the earlier games, so I'm very familiar with the controls. Accelerate, brake, lean is really everything you have. Here's me figuring out the controls again because it's been a while since I've last played it. Really, the only notable change to the mechanics of the newer Trials game to the older one is that failing or crashing, bailing out, whatever, gives you a 5-second penalty to your ending time instead of one fail, which used to be a metric that tracked your progress. Upon crossing the finish line, you're ranked on bronze, silver, or gold, as is the standard. And after heading back to the main map, you're given a very intrusive pop-up, gear crates, and it just felt very loot boxy. I don't know, it just didn't feel right. Due to a lack of options, I decided to go for the game's Giga Track, which is an iconic one from Trials Evolution, which took about 8 minutes. In this game, the bronze time was 28 minutes, so I spent around 16 minutes doing this one, which honestly was the most fun part of the hour because it was just pure gameplay and relearning the skill set that I had long since forgotten. But I guess I'll get right into my main gripe with the game. In Trials Evolution, which I believe is the gold standard for the Trials game, the menu was very clearly laid out in beginner tracks, easy, medium, etc. But here there was no real layout for progression. It was just, here's the maps in a random order. Even if you're looking for one, you need to go and find it. It was very just scattered, and nothing really made sense. There was no progression for unlocks. Oh, you need to level. How do you level? It tells you to just grind the same tracks over and over again for XP. That doesn't feel like particularly interesting progression. Then, at the top right, you can see gears and acorns, which appears to be the game's unlock currency. Really also doesn't tell you how to collect those to unlock bikes or other things. I was looking into how to unlock more maps. It doesn't tell you. Apparently, you needed to complete a certain set of tracks in a set order or a championship. It really didn't list it out in any way, so I was just kind of faced with the tracks I had already completed and nothing new, with unlocks not telling me how to unlock them. Eventually, I found one track that was labelled hard, so I decided to try that because it was a bit more appropriate to my skill level, despite still relearning. The previous levels seemed to take away from the previous game's more rustic nature, as if things were a bit more urban. It gave you lots of up and downs, it was a bit more roller coaster-esque, whereas the harder maps had a little bit more to them. But, as you can see here, it was painfully easy. And finishing in 35 seconds, I was a whole 10 seconds ahead of the best time aimed for gold. So it wasn't all that challenging either. And honestly, that's kind of it. I just kept replaying the same tracks and got bored. I was very bored. It was quite disappointing. I loved the older games, but what is this layout? Pop-ups? Gear crates? Everything was very intrusive. Sure, the gameplay was still good, but the completely random interface made it very difficult to navigate and nothing was explained. I wanted to like this, but it just left me wanting to play the Evolution again. 5 out of 10.